Welcome to Dad Bod's Crab Cakes and Sports, where husky middle-aged men share insight on the latest Baltimore sports news. From the bank to the yard and beyond, we're breaking down the Ravens, Orioles, Terps, and more. Baltimore's best sports podcast starts now. Good evening, everyone. Jason, Mike, and John here for you here on a Monday evening. Sorry for our switcheroo on the schedule, but I appreciate you being flexible. Gentlemen, how are you?
I'm
Doing
good,
great.
Jason. And John's got his mouth full of Cheetos, but I think he's doing all right too.
Perfect.
Oh, that's
Orioles
fantastic.
won tonight, so that always helps. Puts me in a better mood.
We're back.
We're back. Oh my gosh, we're back. Oh, I don't know how to feel. I really don't. I mean, again, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, it's the sky is falling. You have people clamoring for calling for the manager's head. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to do. But we can get into all this here soon. How was your guys' weekend? What exciting stuff happened, Mike? What did you do?
Well, let me just tell you about my exciting weekend. I played taxi cab for my children as we went from one youth sport to the next. We were out on the west side and on the north side and the south side on the east side and played some lacrosse and some soccer, doing all the sides. Not great games. We have one good one and like four bad ones, but it was okay. I wore all my stuff and I cheered like dads do. And it was a good weekend overall. I am happy about one thing, though, and I was talking to John about this before you came on, Jason, was that Masson has finally gotten the streaming app for my phone. And so that I got rid of my Fubo, whatever it's called, TV for this three months that I was subscribed to it. And I was able to get on the Masson app now. That's $19.99 a month, or it's not. I think $89.99 for the entire season. So I got it for the entire season. It's about daggone time that the Orioles finally did this for their customers. I still can't stream it directly from my television because the app won't download on my Samsung, but I can beam it up with my phone or my iPad, which is perfectly fine with me, rather than getting that Fubo TV, which I did not like.
Yeah, I mean, once they settle the things with the Nationals, I'm pretty sure we discussed this previously that was the next step. I thought it was years away. I didn't think it was going to be right away, but that's good. I mean, that's a good step forward. What's not good though is that it won't go on your Samsung. I mean, that's one of the most popular TVs out there. I know that like Vizio has some restrictions on certain things, but I'm not so sure why Samsung. That's not a good move there, but all good things there. John, what about you? What did you do this weekend?
Absolutely nothing. I have to work every Saturday from 8 to 6, and then Sunday went to church. Kids went to St. Pete Beach with my wife and one of her friends. I stayed here and watched the O's game. I thought about dropping in unexpectedly at your house, but then I remembered that you had a grandchild shower or something, so I refrained from dropping in.
Oh, great.
I don't think we should call it a grandchild shower. That sounds weird.
A baby
Try something
shower.
else.
A baby shower for your daughter. There you go.
We did that. We did a baby shower. And if you know how any of the Weisbecker parties are, anyone out there that's been to one, or if you're familiar, everything is treated, every little party or event is treated like it's a wedding. So there's way too much food to be had. There's way too much planning, way too much cleaning. But the parties are always something to remember, I guess.
So if I would have crashed the baby shower, there would have been enough food and beverages to go around.
Dude, yes, absolutely, man.
And you probably would have got your ass kicked in bobbing for binkies. So, which I didn't know was a thing until I faced my daughter's baby daddy. Is that what they call him these days? I faced him in a bobbing for binkies and beat him pretty badly. You had 10 binkies in water, submersed in water, and you had to dunk your head in there to try to get as many out as possible. So I did it, and he still had like 5 binkies left, and all mine were out. So I just proceeded to take the thing of water and pour it over his head. Half
And just
victory. 2 victory.
Welcome to
And
fatherhood.
and just for our listeners who may not know what a binky is, binky is like a pacifier or a passy, or they call them all different things all over the place. I told somebody my kids like my son liked his binky, and they're like, "What in the world's a binky?" They had no idea.
Oh man. And here's a tip for here's a tip for not so many fathers. The binky's great and all if you don't want a lot of noise, but when you give that to the baby when they go to sleep, if it falls out, they wake up. So maybe not train them on the binky unless you want like nonstop noise the rest of your life, which is basically parenthood anyway. So I mean, have at it.
We had the ones that had the little stuffed animals that kind of hang off of them. You know what I'm talking about? We had one that was like a duck and one that was like something else. And we named it was Otis and Stanley Squirt. We had 2 of the binkies. And but again, it's something about your teeth. Like some people worry that they make your teeth crooked and stuff like that eventually. I don't know. But anyway, heads up, dads. That's a thing that happens.
And make sure that you get the little clip, because if you don't get the little clip, then it like falls, and it falls like in the car seat or on the ground. And then you never have 2 with you when you need to, and then you're kind of in trouble. So
You put it in your own mouth and you get all the dirt off of it, and then you put it in the baby's mouth again. It's fine.
Oh yeah.
I don't miss those days, boys. That
See,
wasn't all that long ago.
When you have your first child, you're like, oh my goodness, yeah, no, get another one, wipe it off. By the time you have a second or third child, you're like, yep, all right, have at it. Fell on the Walmart floor, 5-second rule it is.
Absolutely.
Gracious. All right. Well, I guess let's keep rolling with the Orioles here. Let's keep talking because we already started. I just thought we'd do a quick little rundown. But yeah, Mike, back to the Masson thing. To me, it's way, way overdue. And all these other ball clubs out there have these independent like apps so that you can go ahead and do that, which will cut out. I mean, MLB for us, John, MLB TV, I think this will make things a lot differently. Now, I don't know what restrictions we'll have, but as far as Mike living in Baltimore still in the Baltimore area, I think that's a good thing for them.
Yeah, I think it's time for all that kind of stuff. Like we used to be, what, half the games were on regular TV and you could watch them and things, and then they, similar to the football thing, you get the blackouts. But I think it's just there's very few people who will actually sit in front of the TV and watch the game. Most people are, doing other things or, watching it while they're at their kid's game or just listening to it with an earbud in or whatever. But Mike, do they broadcast the radio game on there as well in case you don't have a radio near you?
I'm not sure. I think you could just play the game in your pocket with the AirPod in. I mean, if you had to, that's what I would do. But I don't know if they have the audio. I have to check into it. I only used it once so far. Like you said, I've kind of been out and about and just kind of listening to it. But having a direct to consumer option is something that we've been looking for here. I said Fubo or whatever it was, but I mean, the package for that was like almost $100 a month, like 300 and some bucks quarterly to have that. And we already had YouTube TV. So I had to cancel or pause YouTube TV during the summer months and get the Fubo subscription during the Orioles season and go back and forth and pause and unpause. And I didn't like the Fubo service. So now it allows me just to get a la carte what I wanted. I didn't need anything else from Fubo. I just needed to get the O's. So super happy that option is now available.
It's funny because I don't think it comes down to a money thing for the Masson app or a way to watch the Orioles. I think a lot of folks are willing to pay a decent amount of money to get the Orioles, but they don't want the extra stuff, like you said, like the Fubo TV when you already have a streaming service. So it's never been about money. It's just been about the convenience of having it. So for instance, one of the things for me, I have MLB TV. So I get but I have the single one where you just pick one team. So I get the Orioles. Well, I ordered this and it auto renewed on it, which was fine, but it's $129 for the entire, it's a year to year. So I get all of spring training. It renews at the end of spring training for the season. So it's great timing wise. But I was like, I think I wanted every team this year. And it was like $150. So I called up. I was like, hey guys, I want to get this, but can I just pay the extra money and just upgrade for it? They're like, oh, no, sir. No, sir. You have to cancel and then rebuy. I'm like, can't I just give you more money? Don't you want to take my money? Because if I have to cancel it, it's not happening. And the guy's like, oh, no, sir. No, no, no good. No good. I go, all right. Well, you have a lovely day, sir. It was great speaking with you. So I don't know if you had the same problems, John, but I wanted all the games. I didn't just want the Orioles.
Yeah, no, I just signed up because my wife's a college student. I just signed up for the college student, and there was no problem. And hopefully she'll graduate soon, and I'll have to pay the full amount. But it worked out for me. And I'll just sit and watch the games or at work when the afternoon. I'll just keep an earbud in and listen to whatever games on the radio or whatever. And then if it's the Orioles game, I'll make a noise in my office, and people will come running and think that something has gone wrong.
Is it an earbud or an AirPod? Tell me what the difference is. And there's never any ear enemies. They're always earbuds. I just don't understand that. It's got to be bad for your ear at some point.
Well, an AirPod is a trademark of Apple, and an earbud is just basically anything else.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
I
appreciate you. You're so with it, John. That's why we have you here. You're so with it.
Yeah, because I'm young and hip and skibbity and all the other stuff. Skibbity Alpha Sigma. Yeah, that's right. That's right, Jason.
Fabulous. All right. Well, good, John. Well done. All right. So back to the Orioles. It's been tough. It's been a couple series in a row that just haven't gone our way. And I've seen all this Twitter stuff and the Facebook stuff and listen to the other podcasts. The sky's falling, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think the sky's descended a little bit. It's not so. We're looking bleak before tonight, but it's funny how one game kind of changes everyone's perspective. Looking on it, a lot of things happened before this game. Westberg went on the IL. They moved Grayson to a 60-day DL. Now they moved Cowser to the 60-day DL, but that was already going to happen. Like, just he'll be ready to come off when time comes, probably. But those little moves like that, Gary Sanchez went on the IL. So that doesn't help the feeling of everything's falling down, Mike. So I guess tonight's win maybe temporarily lifted spirits.
Yeah, I mean, you feel good tonight. That's good. Maverick Handley's on his way, so everything will be okay. For those of you who don't know, Maverick Handley is a catcher from AAA Norfolk. Those of you waiting for Samuel, I think is he still injured, gentlemen? I think he's still hurt. I think that's the frustrating part is all these guys are hurting. Maybe you think, hey, even if it's a down year this year, maybe that's a chance for us to see our prospects, and then stuff like this happens. It's like, oh my gosh, we don't even get to see the guy we're looking for down AAA. But honestly, we're 2 series away from being right back around 500. If they get their act together, they go 5-1 on this homestand. They're within a couple games of 500. And the problem is you don't want to dig too deep a hole. I think, playing the Yankees here helps, right? Every game is like 2 games in the standings, basically playing the Yankees and kind of just chipping your way back into things. There's not going to be, a way to get all these wins back at once. So it's just a matter of playing one good game after the other and stringing them together. Like we said, though, the starting pitching is the part that I'm the most concerned about of all. I think that the hitting will come together at some point. We'll come out of this slump. Some of these atom balls will start falling. And I think we'll probably I think we're a 500 team at worst, really. But I don't know that our pitching can sustain quality starts, which is what the scary part is for me, the way it's built. I know what Kyle Gibson might be a day or 2 away. Might see him added to the rotation.
I think he's starting tomorrow. I think they announced he's starting tomorrow.
So that's awesome. But, it is Kyle. I know we're trying to find a solution, but let's not get too excited. It is Kyle Gibson. It's not like, the next Pedro Martinez is going to walk through the door. So we have to, take it one game at a time, try to stay positive. I guess that's what they're saying in the O's clubhouse. So I guess that's what we'll do as fans.
Yeah, I mean, and like the pitching line tonight wasn't all that bad. I mean, especially Chigano, 5 innings, 5 hits, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk. 0 earned runs. So he did his part. Now the 5 innings thing, I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll have to just be patient with that. The last thing I want to hear is another pitcher going on the injured list, so I'm fine with it. But then Aiken, he threw a scoreless frame, 3 strikeouts. Cano, I mean, he gave up 2 hits and a run. Soto, 2 runs, 3 hits. So he is struggling a little bit. And then Batista shut it down in the 9th. So the pitching was there for the most part, except for Soto, and Cano had a little rough outing, but that's going to happen. And the bullpen's been there. And if the starting pitching only goes 5 innings every night, John, I mean, we're going to be in for a lot more issues going forward.
Well, during the radio broadcast tonight, they were saying that the Orioles bullpen, I believe, is 2nd in the American League and 5th in baseball in earned run average and I think total strikeouts or something. But like tonight, Cano wasn't helped by the defense when they threw the ball up the first base line. You got to know when to eat it. You got to know when it was hit a certain way. You just got to eat it. But Urias was playing third base and just threw the ball up the line. That doesn't help our pitching. But, I think if we can get 5 innings, 6 innings out of the starters, and then we're still going to get Batista back, to full strength towards the end of the season, hopefully, where he can pitch, 4 or 5 nights out of 7, I think we'll be okay. But I don't know. It's like we have one really good game and then we get 4 or 5 bad games right after that, or just that whole Detroit. I know your friend. Your friends is a Tigers fan. I know, like, my dad's a Tigers fan. He was texting me, "What happened to the Orioles? They're supposed to be so good." Blah blah blah. But I don't know. I'm kind of more. I'm more in the sky is falling group that we might want to do something like the Phillies did and bring in new blood to try to revamp the clubhouse before June.
Oh my God. So I had several rants prepared for this before the Orioles won tonight. But one is on this calling for the manager's head thing. Like, if it was as easy as just getting rid of the manager, don't you think they would just go ahead and do it? Like, I'm not saying he's the key. Like, yes, he was there through the whole rebuild. He was the right guy for that. And then, I mean, I'm not sure if he is the guy, but I don't know if he's the lone issue here. And like, if we got all these people out there clamoring for the manager to go, and how they're saying like, oh, the fan, like you should fire him because it's a homestand. So fire him and give the fans something to look forward to. So if the fans need that to look forward to an Oriole game, we got bigger problems. Like, and if organizations start listening to the fans on who they're hiring, something that's like, oh, you got to play Joe Flacco, hon. This Lamar can't win the big one. Joe brought us a Super Bowl. Give me a break with that crap. Like, be patient. I don't think it's all the manager. It's still April. That's all I'm going to say. It's still April. I'm not convinced that he is the guy, Mike, but I'm not so sure we pull the plug yet. Do we? Question mark.
I thought I was in Hamden there for a minute down on 34th Street. That was pretty good.
Matty Bo.
No, my issue is, I don't think it's time to call for the manager's head at this point. It's just a disjointed effort. I feel like, if anything, the manager that I have a concern with, it's less the lineup stuff and more the fact that there's not an accountability really to make the routine play and to make sure that they're playing mental baseball the way they should. And that, for me, is more important than the lineup changes. Like, you need to play quality baseball, and if you don't, you shouldn't be playing. Part of that is on Hyde. But the other part of it is, obviously, if you don't have the players to hold them accountable to kind of put in if that player is struggling, that's an organizational issue. It's not just a Hyde issue. That's a Elias issue as well. It's like, having coached different types of youth sports teams, it's like you can't hold the people who are starting accountable if you don't have comparable backups that you can put in and play. Like, even on my soccer team, but you got to hold those guys accountable somehow, some way, or else it doesn't work. You can't hold that standard that you're looking to hold. And they played really good defense for the last few years. And I just don't see the defense and base running the same way I have over the past few seasons. So something has slipped. Despite the pitching, despite the lineup changes, despite the slumping, that's the thing that I'm worried most about. It's just the standard seems to have slipped.
Well, I think I want to take my swings not at the manager yet. I want to take my swings at the front office still because I'm completely unsatisfied. And they talk about the Astro way of building the teams, which they did by losing. So the Astro way was lose for 3 or 4 or 5 years, get all the top picks in each round of the draft, and build from there and have good organizational depth in building that up. And then this is why I'm not convinced we're there, because they did that part. But then the Astros also brought in Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander and other pieces around them, other offensive pieces. Elias doesn't do anything comparatively to that. Like, we're not there yet. And he's had the opportunities. And I've been very patient. So I think if we're ready to point blame somewhere, how about you blame it on the front office that gave the manager the teams with not a lot of depth to, like you said, Mike, to play that defense, because Cowser goes down, that ruins a huge plan you have. Santander was not the greatest defensive player, but he's better than Tyler O'Neill. Like, you did this to yourselves, and you gave your manager this to what, John, be the sacrificial lamb?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, Jason. And like you look at the Astros, they brought in Verlander, they brought in Mancini, they brought in, like as you mentioned, Cole and stuff. And they had a strong top of the lineup hitter in Altuve. And, we haven't, like, Gunner's a great player, but we haven't had that top of the order guy who's hitting, 328, 330, getting on base at an over 400 clip. We haven't had that guy. And, I don't know if we're going to have that guy or if we're going to need to go out and try to find somebody. But, my big thing in the offseason, and I mentioned it to you guys, I think, was we didn't bring in any veteran to help some of these younger guys out. I mean, Laureano, O'Neill. I mean, those guys are not what I would consider veteran leadership for that clubhouse. Because who's the veteran leadership in the clubhouse right now? Like, they were mentioning Adley was getting better, but Adley's is 27. He's not that much older than the other guys in there. So, and I always wonder about that too, is there that steady hand from the players' side that says, guys, you're screwing up, fix it, or we're going to have to have a talk about this. Because
I think at this point it'd be O'Hearn and Gibson, and Gibson's not on the team yet. So maybe some things calm down a little bit. Maybe they remind each other how to have fun again. I don't know, but I'm not ready to put it all on the manager yet. But I'm this could change in a couple weeks, I guess. I don't know, Mike. I'm not ready to throw the season in yet. Like, I'm looking at the record. What are they, 11-17? I mean, it's not the end of the world yet. So
no, I don't think that they should do that yet. But I was reading, just to follow up on your comment, Jason, about the general manager. I was reading something somewhere about in Baseball America. They were talking about how organizations like the Orioles and the Pirates and all these guys have these young players to build around, and yet there's still, like you were saying, there's no urgency to spend any money in free agency and build around those players. So fans are getting tired of the messaging, like in Pittsburgh and in Baltimore and things like that, and they're tired of just waiting for that team that can win it all, and tired of seeing these young players come in and be there for a couple of years and then get shipped away a lot of times as well. And I just don't know if that's going to change in baseball. It might be a baseball problem, but to me, the Orioles have the money. So where is the problem? The problem lies with an issue between whether it's Elias being too stubborn to go and spend Rubenstein's money, or Rubenstein quietly saying to Elias, don't spend my money. It's somewhere in that realm, because the money's there. The brilliance in the front office we think is there. So why aren't we spending money to put the pieces in place to finish the puzzle? The frustrating part is we know how good this team can be. We saw it the last couple of years, especially 2 years ago, right? And now look at the 180 we've done over the last 9 months. It's crazy.
And it comes down to me, it's not, if you're talking like pitching specific, like, it's not about the money being spent, because you gave Charlie Morton and Chigano $13 and $15 million a year, right, for the year. So it's not the money. It's the years with the money. and like undercutting Burns, like they weren't even in the ballpark. Let's just say what it is. Like it was never, even if he wasn't going back to Arizona, it wasn't going to happen here unless they give him a little bit more up to with the others, you know. Like it first came out, it was like 250, but then it really came out that it was like 189. So they're just not willing. The fundament, and I'm not 100% against this, but they're fundamentally, pardon me, not going to give the big contracts for pitching. It's never going to happen, the long contracts. So they're going to have to do 30, $40 million a year for 3 years because they're not going to do the $7 million deals, right? So, but again, you can still go out and get the bats and you can get them, be involved in there, but you're going to have to give out bigger contracts at some point, and you're going to have to get these cornerstone guys. You can't just try to do it on the cheap and prove to everyone that you're the smartest people in the room, like I've been saying for the last 9 months. So there might be some truth to these articles that were out there in pitchers lists and some of these other things, even though I was trying to defend them. But I don't know. The problem is here, and then we can move on. But it's when they brought on Elias, it was a great idea to rebuild this organization, and they've done that. They brought us back to what Baltimore baseball was back before we were born, and then in the 80s, early 80s, etc. But Elias is not doing it with major league talent. He's not doing it at the trade deadline. Like, yeah, they got Eflin. That was great, right? But then they got a Flaherty that wasn't the year before, that wasn't all the way there. I mean, they traded with the Marlins that I thought would be a decent trade, but then the pitcher can't even right. You're rolling your eyes, Mike, because you're right. You're 100% right. It's like, where is this major? You have to do it at the major league level, Mike. You can't just bring in young guys and expect to win.
Oh, 100%. I think that, like you said, we got the bats, but we need those arms. And I don't know if we're just shy and not wanting
Wait, John, do we have the bats? You think we have the bats?
I think we have a core of bats. We need more bats, but we have a core of bats. All we have in the pitching is we have the end of the bullpen. We got nothing else but the end of the bullpen. You give the way that Bautista pitched tonight gives me confidence that he's back, and the way that he set Judge up and then struck Judge out proved to me that you know what, he is back. But we don't have anybody to get to the back of the bullpen, and then we're making stupid mistakes in the field, and we got incompetent outfielders. So we got the core bats, but Mike, I think you're right, though. I think we need a big bat, one big bat who can hit a fly ball to the outfield to score the damn run. We can't get a freaking guy in from third base with nobody out, and that is ridiculous.
You need the
high school team is taught to do that crap. These guys are being paid to do it.
Easy, John. You need the big bopper veteran bat in the middle of your lineup that's done it for 5-7 years. You need a real veteran bat that everyone can look to and say, we're okay. That's what you need on this team. And then you need one guy that can get on base at the top of your lineup. Cedric Mullins has done a fantastic job this year of doing that. I give him a lot of credit. But it would be nice if it didn't have to be him. It could be somebody else up at the top of the lineup doing that as well. Because he can drive in runs, even at in the 5 hole and things like that. So to me, it's just not a well-balanced attack right now. And John, to your point earlier, and Jason, I know you said that we can't do it with the guys giving us 5 innings. I think we can do it with the guys giving us 5 innings, but they got to give us 5 innings and 2 earned runs, not 7. So it's a matter of, can you hold them down for 5 or 6 innings? Because the bullpen is a strength, and give ourselves an opportunity. And yes, we're going to have to get into the 6th or 7th once in a while. But if we can get 5 consistently and not give up, a quality start of 3 earned runs or less, I think that will do it. So if we're looking for a recipe for success moving forward, that's what it's going to be. You're not getting 7 innings of 1-run ball from these starting pitchers. If you can get 5 to 6 innings of 2 or 3 run ball, I'm a happy guy. I think we can compete. That's all I see though in our future.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like the only thing I'll disagree with is that if you continue to only get to the 5th, regardless of what the score is, and you do that every game, the bullpen is going to be completely gassed come June 1st. And then what? Because there's nothing else.
We have
You're
new
gonna
starters
like-
coming back. No, I don't know. I
Oh,
don't
oh
know.
my God. Yeah, it's like, oh, the Cavalry's coming. No, they're not. They got lost. They made a wrong turn. They're not coming. Like, dude.
The horses are drowning in the river.
We wasted the good surprise on you.
Look, I said this back in before the season started, and actually I said at the trade deadline, you don't need guys that are going to come in and like they don't need to be home run hitters. You need tough outs. You need batters that are tough outs and smart hitters. And if you can find those, you need like the Rafael Palmeiras or somebody the Orioles used to have in the past, that when they get up there, they're a tough out. Even when he was red hot last year, Santander or whatever, however you say his name, was a tough out. But then he would, bat what, 220. So I just don't. I don't know.
We need a left-handed power hitter like a Jim Thome. We need something like that, because
How old of a Jim Thome?
like a early mid
young
30s,
spry
32,
Jim
33,
Thome.
34 Jim Thome. Not the Jim Thome we got in 2012.
Okay,
Like a
good.
The Phillies Jim Thome.
Like a 97, 98 Jim Thome. That's what I want.
When he was about 220 instead of about 250 when he played for us.
Yeah. Young Jim.
We need a Vladdy. Had they done that? We don't
Okay.
make the splash. I'm just saying, we
let's
do
slow
not.
down.
Other teams make
Slow
the
down.
splash. Look at Mookie Betts to LA. Other teams
Right.
are willing to make the splash on some of these guys. And yes, it takes some of these. If you're going to trade for somebody, it makes a difference whether or not you sign them. I'm with you, Jason. They're not going to sign the arms, but then why can't they sign a real bat, not Tyler O'Neill?
Right. But see, Tyler O'Neill was a real bat.
No,
He had
he's not.
30-some home runs last year. And
He had
now
1 year of a real bat.
right,
But that was the complaint about Santander, or whatever he wants to be called this year. Changed his name every year. But that was like him, though. He had one good season, and everybody's like, yeah, that was one good year. Well, then we signed O'Neill, who had one good year, and we're like, oh, he's going to do it all for us. Might as well just kept Santander, who knew how to play at Camden Yards. O'Neill looks lost. Our right fielders look lost every time the ball goes up.
See, that's what I'm saying, though, because this comes back then to the money situation, because they saved money with Tyler O'Neill because they didn't want to pay the contract for Santander. To be honest, they needed both of them.
They don't have a salary cap, though. There's nothing preventing you from spending money.
John, you mentioned you were talking about the Astros and their lineup. And I'm not saying that this can't happen. It's just not there yet. But Springer, Correa, and Altuve, and then Westberg, Gunnar, and Holiday. That's the plan. That's the hope and the wish. And will it get there? I don't know. I hope to God, because that's good things. Those are your top three hitters in your lineup, essentially. That's what you're hoping to get from that. And if you could do that, then you're in really good shape. And then you're just like the Astros were.
Well, my question is this for you guys, and then we'll move on. But how big was the Cowser loss? To me, Cowser is the biggest injury this year. A Gold Glove caliber left fielder with a good bat and speed who knows how to play the game. I think that's our biggest loss this season. What do you guys think?
Well, I think you also need to account for his energy in the clubhouse. I think he's a funny guy. He kind of was part of the lead on the Homer hose and all those kind of gimmicky things they do in the dugout, and just like a jovial guy. And I think you guys have played enough sports to know that how important that is, for the makeup of the team and keeping the energy level high when you're in a low period, in a game or over a course of a season. And I think maybe we're underestimating the Cowser loss on that front as well.
100%, because with Cowser, and can you imagine now Mullins is hitting like he is, so he's staying in the lineup. So you don't need Cowser to move over to center field against lefties. So now you have Cowser in left, nothing falls. You have two Gold Glove caliber outfielders, and then whatever the hell's going on in right field, you can deal with. But when you have two dumpster fires in the corners of the outfield, you can't put them out. Like you
Not
got
enough
two-
fire trucks. Yeah.
Right. So yes, the Cowser deal, not necessarily bringing back Burns, but replacing Burns, which you have not done. Like that's huge for me. So those two things are why we are where we are right now.
So with the dumpster fires, is that what the splash zone is for in left field? Do we need to get a splash zone in right field to help put out the dumpster fire there?
I think they need better water pressure because they're not quite. They haven't put them out yet. There's still some fire out there, Michael.
They need foam because it's like a freaking burning Tesla that you can't put out with a little bit of water.
Oh, it's
You
terrible.
need half the lake.
Terrible. All right, not so terrible. We just finished up the NFL draft this past weekend. It was pretty exciting, except my son stole my remote and I have not found it yet. So I did not get to watch any of it on TV. I had to follow it on my phone. I have no idea where this damn cable remote is, and it's whatever. I'll figure it out. But okay, so what do we think? I put it out on our Facebook page earlier. I don't know if anybody responded. I didn't see anything yet. But how do we think the Ravens did, Mike?
I liked the Ravens draft overall. I was particularly pleased in the second round with the Mike Green selection because I was getting worried. Because I think our biggest need coming into the draft was edge rusher. And seeing all those guys kind of bleed away in the early second round, like Ezraku went and some of those other guys, so I was kind of hopeful maybe we trade up and use some of those picks to get up higher into the second round. And then to hear his name called and just wow, I'm like, I hope that there was something that every other team overlooked and that we are just smartest people in the room on that one. Because clearly the play on the field was first round caliber from Mike Green. I know he's from a smaller Marshall, correct? A smaller school, but he had 17 sacks. He's fast. He has flexibility and bend. He's got a couple edge rush moves. He's exactly what the Ravens needed at that pick. So first and second round picks, super happy with. I know we had debated what they would do with the first round guys. I think, Jason, you're the only one who got that correct. And when you picked Starks, I thought they would go edge. John, I think, did you go offensive line or did you go edge as well?
No, I thought they were going to trade out.
Yeah, that's right. You said trade down. But either way, the first two picks, I think, were home run picks. And then after that, I've heard the Locked On Ravens podcast. I know Allstriker, some of the meddling in the middle rounds. He was kind of talking about that, how sometimes we kind of overthink those areas sometimes. A guard, particularly in the third round, might have been a strong pick. I know they picked the tackle, Emory Jones from LSU, that could slide to guard potentially, depending on if he's going to be a McCary type and kind of fill both tackle roles or fill the guard need, depending on whether or not Falalele and Andrew Voorhees pan out to kind of fill out the offensive line. But then they went ahead and picked some other offensive linemen there in the back half of the draft, and they signed a couple in undrafted free agency. So it looks like they're trying to cover all their bases. But overall, another solid Ravens draft. You can always expect that from the Ravens, the Eagles, and the Chiefs. They always do a good job.
Well, do you think so? Here's something I started thinking as this draft started getting longer and longer, and even with some of the moves from the AFC North in the first couple rounds, like they got big guys, tackles on the defensive line. They had pass rushers. So I'm wondering if the Ravens are like, okay, we should probably get a couple more offensive linemen just to because Nick Harmon's kind of big, so we should probably figure that out. And so I'm wondering, Mike, if that was part of the plan, keep taking offensive linemen later, because not only do you get the value there in their minds because where they had on their board, but they're also protecting against what could happen here in the rest of the AFC North.
Yeah, and I think the criticism of the Ravens, if you could criticize their draft, you would say maybe they didn't take advantage of the giant D-tackle class that was this draft. And everyone else in the division kind of did with Mason Graham, Harmon, and who was the other? Everybody got one, right? Cincinnati got somebody as well. But with that being said, we got the People's kid right in the 6th round, I believe, who's not quite as big, but he's definitely a pass rush threat. And you already have Matabike and you have Jones. So just to add him and maybe the 3rd down mix is kind of exciting and to get some fresh blood on that defensive line. But it seems to me like the AFC North teams are planning against the Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry attack, and they know they need big fellas up front in the middle.
Right. And John, it's funny how everything developed there, because yeah, you would think that you want these guys on the middle, or you get the guys that can set the edge and kind of slow these guys down. But I mean, you always, if you're a good organization, you want to build from the trenches. And I mean, I give the Steelers a lot of props. I usually do not give the Browns a lot of props. I think they had a fantastic draft. I think the Bengals had a horrible draft, and I don't think they had a very good off season in general. So, but again, you build from the trenches, especially in the AFC North.
Yeah, I think so. I would, in listening, I listened to, Locked on Ravens. I listened to Bobby Trossick and Sarah Ellison and a couple other podcast people. And I think the Ravens kind of somewhere between a B plus and an A in this draft, because I think they filled pretty much every need, and I think though that I think that getting the pass rusher on the outside where they did is going to absolutely change up how this defense is going to run. Because look at what Green did against. They're like, oh, he's at Marshall. They play. He freaking destroyed Ohio State. He was in the backfield against Ohio State almost every single passing play, But I think, we got everything we needed, I think, and we got more. The big one that I'm going to be very interested in seeing is LeJontay Wester out of Colorado, seeing if he fixes that kick returning thing for us, because last year we brought in what's his face from Chicago.
Deontay Hardy.
Thank you. He didn't do anything. Nothing. We were missing kick returner last year. So hopefully, Wester can do that. But, I think, like you guys were mentioning, that interior in the AFC North is, what all those other teams need. But Cincinnati's just a bungle fire.
Not a Bengal fire, a bungle
fire. A bungle fire. Because what did they do? They re-signed their receivers, and they didn't do anything else. And
so, Jason, I have a question for you. With, they took kicker, right? Later on in the draft, and the Borregales kid from Miami was taken, and then they grabbed Loop shortly thereafter from Arizona. He's got a huge leg. They said he's strong from distance. I'm looking at the Ravens and thinking, when we're between the 40s, we go for it anyway. So what is the obsession with a big leg kicker when maybe we should go for someone who's just higher percentage 40 and in, or is that just like an end of the game kind of thing? We need someone who can kick a long one. Jason, what's your thoughts on that?
I don't think it's just for kicking field goals. I think they like a guy that can kick the ball out of the end zone every time too. Field position wise, I think they want somebody to do that. Like they don't like too much crap can go wrong if you're allowing them to catch the ball and trying to return it, So that's number one. Number two, I mean, as long as the accuracy, like, look, if you're out there, you've kicked like a 70-yard field goal, they say this kid's done or whatever, but he's 40%. You don't want that. But his accuracy is a lot better too. So they look at their kickers, they want strong legs. And you don't always know, like if Lamar gets hurt, then what happens? We might have another quarterback that, hey, all you got to do is get in there to the 45 yards away and we got our kicker. They want that in their back pocket. But what I noticed early on in Lamar's career and in the end of Joe's career is that we would be like, all right, just get here and Justin can hit it. Where now they're like, oh, we got the most dangerous weapon in football, two of the most dangerous weapons in football, actually, if you count Derrick Henry. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go for it. With our misdirection and stuff. I mean, that's how I feel, John. I mean, to me, it was I would rather have a stronger leg kicker than just a guy with accuracy, because especially when you play in an outdoor stadium, to me, it doesn't get crazy in Baltimore like it does in Buffalo, but it's still important.
Well, I think that's exactly it. I think you're spot on. I saw some videos of him in high school hitting 70+ yard field goals. But just think about it though, Mike. You got to get the ball to the 40-yard line or the 43-yard line with a chance to win the game, instead of having to try to get, to the 30 or the 25 with the hope of, winning the game. Like that game in Detroit a number of years back. We got the ball to what, the 46, and Tucker blasted it in from 60, 66, 67 yards out. So I think a lot of it has to do also with towards the end of the game and what can win you the game. And I believe he was 5 for 7, 6 for 8, something like that, beyond 50 this year in the college season. But could this, guys, could this be, let's say this whole Tucker thing blows up and it's nothing and it's just a bunch of lies. They're living in a bed of lies. Do we trade him like we did a couple years back to the Vikings for a 3rd round pick, and then he gets cut by the Vikings because he can't make a field goal there?
Justin Tucker's getting cut after June 1st. Mike?
I mean, I don't know. The lies thing is hard for me to believe. Is there a chance? I know Jason Lockenfora was talking on 105.7 today. Is there any chance that he's competing with Justin Tucker come training camp? I could see it possibly happening. I just don't know how you do that as the Ravens. I mean, he would have to be absolved almost, like, I think, of anything, which I just don't see it happening. But I don't know, John. Maybe you're right. Maybe there's going to be a training camp competition, and maybe there's a chance that the Ravens take this draft pick and turn it into something else.
Well, they have to be very careful because you have the players union and they have rights. They have their signed deal, and the Ravens can't speak too soon here. So they have to let the NFL go with their investigation and let this play out a little bit more. I mean, the reason why I said he'll get cut June 1st is because I'm that's what I said from the get-go. And I don't want to talk myself out of it because they saw Justin Tucker at the facility and they talked to him and said, "Hey, we're going to draft a kicker." So they're pretending like they're all friends again. So I'm not quite there yet. That's why I do think that he's going to get he will get
John,
cut.
what are you doing? Are you playing musical chairs here? What is happening?
I thought that was just on my screen. I didn't know it was on everybody's screen.
Yeah,
My
stop
fault.
touching things.
Sorry, Adam. I maybe made you dizzy or something.
No, you made me dizzy, dude. Goodness gracious.
My
All
inner
right.
ear's all messed up, John.
Back to what we were saying. Yeah. No, I do. I don't think he's around after June 1st. I believe that's where the most cap savings happens. And it's unfortunate because I do think he figured it out again. He worked with, it was my understanding, he worked with Matt Stover. He worked with, who used to be the punter, Sam Cook. And he went back to the way he used to kick. And there was a big difference the second half of the season last year. I would have loved to see it. But unfortunately, I don't think you can come back from this. This wasn't hearsay once or twice. There's like, how many counts again? 16, 17? That's a lot.
Several.
That's a lot.
Well, and then we draft Mike Green, and he's got a similar thing. But I don't know. Did you guys think that DaCosta and Harbaugh answered the question? Did you watch the press conference where they were asked about Green? Do you guys think they answered the question, or were they kind of trying to skirt around? And this is an amazing pass, because I heard multiple people say this kid could change your defense, and they're just kind of skirting it under the rug. What do you guys think?
I mean, I heard the press conference, and I think they answered the question completely. Like, what do you want them to say? They did their background research on the incident. They said they went to Virginia. They checked in on it. They went, they went to Marshall. They checked in on it, and they checked with all the people involved, and they said they were comfortable drafting the player. are they going to? They're not going to say more than that. What do they need to say for the public to be happy? I mean, it's the same thing the rest of us would do in a situation like this. We would find out what happened to the best of our ability and figure out if we're comfortable enough with the result to move along with it, or that we need to just say no, this isn't for us, and move along with the opposite direction. And I think Harbaugh and DeCosta were perfectly clear with what the Ravens did in the process, and they were okay with it, where maybe some of the other NFL teams weren't.
Yeah, and it's funny because he did fall down that much, but I don't. Whenever you get more than one allegation against you, that's when I think people start to think, and that's when it can get kind of iffy and messy. I mean, I don't want to crucify him without, I mean, I don't know if there's any convictions. I mean, I assume not, but I mean, and I'm not saying that
there weren't any charges. There weren't even charges. There were allegations.
It's tough, man. I don't want. I mean, I have 2 daughters, so I am the last person that wants to hear any of this nonsense. But I'm kind of, I don't know what to say. No, I just don't. I think that if there was any backlash, or if they felt that, I mean, they're not going to bring a guy, especially after the Tucker thing, they're not going to bring somebody in here that's going to give them even more of a headache, Mike. I guess that's my answer.
Yeah, I agree. I just heard several people, like, I think it was, I don't know, somebody on ESPN or something saying, they didn't really answer the question. I thought, there's not really much of a question to answer. There was never any any charges filed or police incidents, or he wasn't arrested or anything like that. But do you guys think that the Malachi Starks pick will allow Hamilton to sort of be that other edge rusher as well and be in the backfield more? Or do you think they're both going to be kind of playing back and doing the sort of Ed Reed type thing?
So the reason they took Starks over even Worry, I think, was because Starks can play back and he'll be their center fielder. And it allows Hamilton to still come back if he wants, but also to go up and be more of that Swiss Army knife, Mike. I think that's why they went after him over the other safeties.
Yeah, and I think Seattle probably got that kind of guy, and even Worry. I think that's why Mike McDonald selected him out in Seattle, because I think he sees him as a Kyle Hamilton prototype. I think, yes, you have to have complementary pieces on your defense. If you had 2 guys like that, it makes it kind of difficult to game plan for, but also kind of difficult to implement. So having a guy like Starks back there, if he's everything he's tapped to be, that'll make it a lot easier for Kyle to roam the field and do what he can do. He's so long. He's such a good pass rusher. He can knock down passes. He tackles really well. He can cover tight ends. He can do all that kind of the dirty work in there that some of our other inside linebackers can't even do particularly well. So to be able to move him around the field gives Baltimore a super weapon that they can kind of implement in several different ways, and kind of gives them the capability to kind of put up all those numbers all around, maybe to be a defensive player of the year candidate.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that last time. One of you did. You said that, I think, Jason, I think it was you who said, we need to draft like a Starks, because then Hamilton can play defensive end, he can play linebacker, he can play safety, he can play cornerback, and he could be that defensive player of the year. Because I could literally see a spot where Hamilton is, 6, 7, 8 sacks, 5, 6, 7 interceptions, and be that, defensive player of the year.
Well, and Starks can play every safety position on the field. He can, it's not just, I mean, he is smaller, but he can still play wherever they want to put him. I do think it's the center field type position. But don't forget, I mean, our Darius Washington's still back there. Holy crap. And I mean, he had one hell of a year last year. So, which could be the most underrated move is them making sure he came back and not get signed from anyone else. But those 3, I mean, that's a very, very good safety room.
Well, you know what I'm happy about, Mike? We drafted a guy named Longer Beam, because if we had drafted a guy named Shorter Beam, I think we would be in a little bit of trouble.
Oh my God. I can't take it.
Well, he is our Darius. It's Urias, but it's our Darius. So everyone has our Darius and only Urias.
I don't want to
No.
play anymore.
I think the thing with Ardarius Washington too, Jason, is the depth it gives us in case there's injury. Because I feel like he can fill in, and then we can maneuver those guys. If any of those three guys is hurt, it kind of helps us out in that way. Marcus Williams didn't work out the way that the Ravens had envisioned, and neither did Eddie Jackson. I also think we just have to be a little bit careful crowning Malachi Starks too soon. I just think we have to understand he's probably going to work his way in there a little bit. I know he will probably end up starting maybe by the end of the season, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Ardarius line up next to Kyle Hamilton to start the season.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, John. Go ahead, bud.
Go ahead, Jason. I was just trying to fill dead air.
Yeah, I don't think you need him to come on and be the next Ed Reed, and I don't necessarily think that's the case. But I do think that he can solidify that back end with Ardarius Washington. So by being able to do that, it frees up Hamilton. You don't need to have someone at the level of Hamilton to be back there. You just need someone competent to do it. And clearly they didn't have it the last year. And that's why they did it. And I mean, he was the best safety, rated the best safety in the draft. And that's what it is. I just don't know. Are you expecting a 11-time Pro Bowler? I'm not. But I don't think they need that. They just need somebody to play that position and play it above average to allow Hamilton to do his thing. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, our friend Adam made a very good point here that he says, imagine having Hamilton playing next to Roquan Smith in the middle of the field. Teams would have to constantly go outside and wouldn't be able to run. And there really is something to that because Hamilton is very quick, and Roquan is very quick for that size. But I think the thing that they were saying about Starks is he's a football player. He understands football and is very good at reading things before they happen and stuff. Was what some of the guys on TV and things were saying. So I'm just very, very excited for our defense next year.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm also very excited to tell everyone that I won another contest. I won our draft contest. John did not win, which is par for the course. And yeah, I mean, I'm just trucking along, Mike. Just trucking along.
You did a good job. I have the Excel spreadsheet. I know, yada yada. You had the most picks. Blah blah blah. Jason picked and had let's see, you had what, 26 points. John had 19 points, and I'm the caboose as per usual with 8 points. I only picked like 5 guys right, maybe in the entire draft. But Jason, the big pick you had obviously was predicting the Ravens taking Malachi Starks correctly. Maybe talk about why you felt they would go that way.
So the night before the draft, when we did our show, if you guys remember, I did not have them taking Malachi Starks. I wasn't sure what they were going to do. I actually had them taking the DN that went to the Browns. So I can't remember his name, or did he go to the Bengals? Might have gone to the Bengals, but the guy out of Texas A&M. So that's who I thought they originally were going to take, because I thought they were going to take edge. But the more I thought about it, and the more like Kevin was talking about how Kevin Ostreicher was talking about how the ESPN was reporting that Starks was their dream pick. And usually that's like throwing, just throwing stuff out there just to throw off the scent. But I did think that it just made sense if he was there, because they love safety. They love to take several safeties if they could, because they can do so much with it. So to me, Mike, that was the easy pick if he was there. It was just a question of whether he would be there or if somebody else would fall down that they didn't expect to be there.
Let's just talk for a second about the draft overall. Mel Kiper, I don't know if you guys read or listened to what he had to say about grades and teams. Maybe just give me some teams you think did particularly well or particularly poorly in the draft, either way. Jason, you want to start?
Yeah, so I think, like I said, the Cleveland Browns had a great draft. The funny thing that we were going to talk about, I think, was the whole drama surrounding Shedeur Sanders, and I believe he was the 144th picked player, and that's what everybody wanted to talk about. When's he going? When's he going? Forget about I guess we have to forget about the 143 young men that just got drafted before him, so we can talk about Shedeur Sanders. But you know who comes out of this looking like geniuses? The Cleveland Browns, because they got a talent that they thought was going to be taken in the first or second round in the 5th round. So if he fails, no one cares at that point because it's 5th round draft status at that point. So to me, they and then trading out of number 2 with Jacksonville was a great move because they were able to get more this year, more next year. I think they have several firsts next year and several seconds next year. So to me, to set themselves up, I usually don't like to give the Browns props, but I will give them props. And also, and then I don't want to play Homer here, but I mean, I think the Ravens had a pretty solid draft. They met all their needs. You know, if we're going to grade it, I'd say the Browns had an A+ and the Ravens had an A. I mean, those are the two that they kind of stick out, and they're both in the same division. So there's that too.
John, how about you?
I think the Ravens had a very good. Even if I wasn't a homer, like I think they did a very good job in shoring up areas that they needed help. The Cardinals had a very good draft. They got the Walter Nolan out of Mississippi. At Ole Miss, he's a defensive tackle. Helped shore up that that middle of their line, especially and they got Will Johnson out of Michigan, who inexplicably fell to the pick 47. I think with some of the injury issues, but when you have to play San Francisco twice a year, having a big body in the middle who can push the pocket, and then having a guy like Will Johnson out there, and they got some rushers and things. The sleeper there's in the 5th round is Denzel Burke out of Ohio State. I think he's going to really help their pass defense, especially playing in that AFC West where you got Purdy twice a year, you got Stafford twice a year. I think they really shored up themselves. The Packers did a good job. I think they got probably a B+ or so. And the Browns and the Cowboys filled some roles. So I think around there's some good things, but I think kind of the winners are the Browns and the Ravens. I think they did the best in filling in their needs. And then here's my thing with the Browns is they drafted 2 quarterbacks. They got Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Deshaun Watson. So you know what? You may have trade picks there, trade baits there with Shedeur or whoever else.
I mean, for me, I agree. I agree with those. For my guys that I thought did a really nice job, I think the Patriots did a really good job. If you take a look at their draft, they took Will Campbell obviously with the first pick that they had, but then to get Travion Henderson, who I think is one of the more underrated backs in the class, and to get Kyle Williams, wide receiver from Washington State, you kind of get some weapons to put around Drake May, and the center Jarrett Wilson from Georgia as well, another 3rd round pick they had. And then later on, they get Joshua Farmer, a interior defensive tackle from Florida State. I thought they did a really nice job in the draft. And then Seattle, I thought, the Ewan Murray pick and Gray Zabel together, those top 2 picks were excellent. And I thought it was great. And then they get Jalen Milroe later on as the heir apparent there in Seattle, probably for what's the Minnesota Viking guy Darnold, right? Darnold, who's over there to start for this season. And that's great for Milroe. It gives him an opportunity to sit and watch and learn and kind of grow, maybe in a Joe Flacco, Lamar Jackson kind of way up in Seattle. And then the other sneaky one I thought was pretty good was Dallas. I know that they did not fulfill their wide receiver need, but Ezeraku and Booker, and they get Savon Revel, who we talked about on our podcast with Kevin, has an injury right now, but could be a 1st round value in the 3rd round as a corner. I thought that Jerry Jones, I can't believe I'm saying this, Jerry Jones did a decent job in the draft this year.
What do you guys think about the Chiefs? I didn't think.
Right.
I thought they did a pretty, decent job, and the Eagles, both the Chiefs and the Eagles, I think both did a good job on getting, a few things shored up, and then the Raiders as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Chiefs and the Eagles have a similar philosophy just to shore up their lines, just kind of like the Ravens do. And the Chiefs did that with their picks. They got a lineman, they got a defensive lineman, they got the lot guy who's a defensive lineman, they got an offensive lineman, and kind of just feeling they got another receiver. You never know. I think is it Royal? Did Royals go there? They got a receiver that late in the
out of
draft.
Utah State.
Utah
Royals.
State. Whenever you got a premier quarterback and you have a receiver with talent, we talked about this for fantasy football purposes, Jason. That gives you a possibility for a sleeper pick there as someone who could be super successful. So again, solid drafts from those guys as expected.
Yeah, I mean the Eagles, I heard that the Eagles actually tried to trade up to 22, 23, 24 and ended up getting the same guy at with the last pick in the first round that they were trying to get. So
is that Campbell, the linebacker, right?
Yeah,
Jihad Campbell. Yeah.
Jihad Campbell, and it's that's a move that I mean it just fell right into Howie's lap. Like that's the kind of stuff that happens to those type teams. But yeah, I mean overall, I mean the teams that are good organizations, I think, had good drafts to build up their teams now and in the future as well. The Ravens are a great organization. Browns not so much, but they again had a good draft. I mean, I think the Eagles obviously. It was actually, it was a lot of fun as normal. I mean, were there any surprises for you guys besides the whole Shedeur Sanders things, John? Anything you were surprised about?
Not particularly. There's a couple guys dropping, the Mike Greens of the world dropping, and then a couple things like that, but nobody it wasn't like a Ricky Williams moment or something like that. Everything seemed to work out pretty well. What do you guys think about the Steelers? You think them drafting the Will Howard, I think we talked about Will Howard last time, I think, or maybe we talked about it in text, but he's a kind of an NFL style tall quarterback out of Ohio State.
Mike?
I just think they weren't super worried about quarterback in the draft. You kind of tell with how they handled it. They wanted to get the best players to put on their team right now. I think they have a backup plan. I don't know what it is. It's either going to be Aaron Rodgers or it's going to be Kirk Cousins. They're going to do something. They're not. I guarantee you, here's my bold prediction. There is no way that Mason Rudolph starts half the games for the Steelers this year. In some way, there's either going to be a younger player or there's going to be a veteran player that comes in for the Steelers. They have too much going on around a nucleus of a team there to contend to just put Mason Rudolph in there for most of the season. So they have something else brewing, I'm guessing. As far as surprises for me, I was a little surprised that the Jaguars traded up to get Travis Hunter. I thought, really for the franchise, it's not a bad move. You have a guy, you saw his energy, right, in all the videos and stuff that they showed post draft in the building, and he's dancing around, and like that can be contagious for an organization. He's now the face of a franchise. I don't think that Trevor Lawrence is really the face of that franchise. So having Travis Hunter there to kind of be offensive, defensive weapon. I know they talked about having somebody now that is known throughout the NFL. So now the Jaguars are more relevant potentially because everyone's going to be wondering after week 1 next season, what did Travis Hunter do, right? How did he do in his debut? Did he have 5 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown, or did he have 2 picks? Like, it'll be an interesting thing to see. Cleveland in that situation, trading back a little bit was a little bit interesting to me, and not taking Travis Hunter. I guess that's the part I wasn't certain about, but they certainly did a good job with the picks that they ended up with.
And I think the Browns of old would have taken Travis Hunter, and then that would have been it. But they gave themselves more firepower by being able to trade that pick now and in the future. So I think that was the purpose there. As far as, the Travis Hunter to Jacksonville, I mean, Liam Cohen said, Like they made the decision. I mean, that sounds like, okay, these are the guys I want. So let's try to get them. And then putting him on the other side of Brian Thomas. Like Brian Thomas is the face of that franchise. So Travis Hunter doesn't have to be the man on offense, which makes him even more dangerous. So to have those two, I mean, this is put up or shut up for Trevor Lawrence. This could be them saying, okay, now we're going to figure out if we really need to go out and get another quarterback, or is this going to be our guy? What Cleveland did, I think, what Cleveland and Jacksonville both did is theoretically they've planned to take a quarterback next year if they have to, because by Cleveland making those draft picks and being able to now have those multiple firsts, have those seconds, and then Jacksonville can turn around and decide, hey, do I need to get a quarterback because I just took the best wide receiver in the draft potentially. So, yeah, very impressed by that. I mean, surprising, I don't know. I was surprised by that. I didn't think they would do it. I didn't know who would do it and who would make the big trade. I mean, the Giants made a trade too. It was kind of under the radar. I think it was pretty solid getting Dart. But yeah.
Well, here's the thing: the Browns next year. I mean, depending on what they end up doing at quarterback this year, I think now they have 5 quarterbacks on their roster. I think, they could potentially have 2 top 5 picks next year that could go in any direction. And if you have a guy like if Arch Manning really comes out and plays, the way that he's hyped up, they could end up being in a position to draft someone like him, and then also drafting another top offensive player in the draft next year that would, just enable them to be even, well, I don't want to say more deadly, but at least help their team move in the right direction, because it just seems like they just, whatever they do, they can't move in the right direction.
Yeah.
Well, the only issue, real quick, Jason, to rebuttal with your Travis Hunter Jacksonville trade, now they don't have a first round pick next year if they need to get a quarterback. So that becomes a maybe multifaceted search for a quarterback, where maybe it's not just in the draft. They might have to look in free agency, or maybe have to turn a stone over that's been turned over once or twice already to see if that fits. But it is supposed to be a pretty deep quarterback draft next year. 4 or 5 guys they've already mentioned in mocks for next year that could be NFL caliber starting quarterbacks. So that'll be interesting to see what Jacksonville does at that point. Cleveland, I'd love to see how that works out there. You have Dillon Gabriel there, which is interesting. He has a strong arm. He's fast. He can run a little bit. He's just a little undersized. I think he's 5'11", maybe. Yeah, I say that. I feel normal at 5'11", sitting here in my chair, but for the NFL, it's pretty tiny. So we'll see if he pans out. I'm loving the thought process there. It's kind of like 2 different players there with Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, and letting them just kind of go at each other in training camp. And I'm curious to see how that kind of evolves and unfolds. Maybe they'll get the Hard Knocks in there or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think Shedeur has a really good chance of starting next year, or at least at some point, with the way that they did that. But the one annoying thing I will say about it is I do feel, and this is the last I'm going to say on all this, is that was an ownership move to go out and pull the trigger on him. And
last ownership move was Johnny Manziel. So.
Yeah. Well, that was a first round pick.
See how that, right? We see how that worked out.
Right.
But I'm going to throw this out there as just an idea, is that the Browns could have actually hit a gold mine here. Is they drafted those 2 quarterbacks, and let's say both of them just shine. They could get a pretty decent draft pick for either one of them. So I'm not saying they could get a first rounder, but they could potentially get a second round pick for Shedeur at a round 5 pick, which would not be a bad thing for them. So I think that may be the kind of thing going through their head, is they got Flacco, Watson, Pickett, Sanders, and Gabriel. Well, they're not going to cut Sanders or Gabriel. So, maybe that's a second or third round pick there. So I think they're thinking ahead a little bit, and they may have actually made a very smart move getting both of those quarterbacks. A first-round talent in the 5th round. I mean, come on, guys.
It's full circle moment here, boys, real quick. 7 years ago, when the Ravens drafted Lamar Jackson in the first round, they traded up to number 32 overall. You guys remember the moment where he gets interviewed and says, "I'm gonna bring a championship to Baltimore." Do you guys remember who was interviewing him?
Dion.
I saw that clip today, and I'm thinking, wow, how we've come full circle from that to now, Coach Dion parading around with the son. Now, to me, let's my 2 cents on the whole Dion thing. It's like, who brings their dad to their first day of their job? Like, he wants to come in and be a part of the conversation in Cleveland. Like, that is a joke to me. It's a complete joke. Like, let the boy be himself. Let him have his own career and just leave him the heck alone.
Well, what do you guys think about the prank call?
I didn't pay any attention to that, John.
Oh,
You and
okay.
your clickbait BS really drives me up a wall sometimes.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't spend your time calling Dion and those guys, and you should pay more attention to preparing for our podcast, John.
Potentially.
Yeah. Ugh. All right. Well, are we done talking about the draft? Do we move on now?
Well, Jason, I do want to say one thing before we close on the draft. So I asked my friend ChatGPT for some help, and so I got a couple things to say to you, Jason.
Oh no!
So, Jason is this is from ChatGPT. I asked it for some roasts of Jason because Jason just wins. So Jason's idea of friendly competition is emotionally waterboarding his friends while pretending it was just luck. The man bets like a Wall Street trader and trashes your hopes with the emotional delicacy of a brick through a church window. Jason's the guy who wins every competition like it's his full-time job, but treats the prize money like it's just gas station snack cash. He doesn't even celebrate anymore. He just hits you with that smug smile. Good game, fellas. Like he didn't just bankrupt Mike and John for the 3rd month in a row. Mike and John, they're not playing for fun anymore. They're just funding Jason's Taco Bell runs. Mike still thinks his gut feeling can be analytics, and John's out here making fantasy picks like he's playing roulette blindfolded. At this point, our Venmo history is just a reoccurring donation to the Church of Jason the Almighty. And last one, honestly, you two should start claiming Jason as a dependent on your taxes with how much money he's siphoning off you two.
Now, in my defense, I do
need a tax break.
All right.
go buy a Ford Lightning, bud. You get a $7,500 tax rebate on that sucker.
Oh, wow, John. Well done. Well done. I don't even have a rebuttal for you.
Wow. You didn't respond to it when I sent it to you in text, so I figured I had to read it out loud that maybe you couldn't read or you forgot your reading glasses or something.
Oh. Well, when you send a text that's 17 pages long, it's really tough to focus on what it was that you said.
Yeah, so I'm just going to take that smug smile and got you again, fellas, as the emotional waterboarding.
Oh, you definitely should. You definitely.
We still love you, Jason.
Yes. Don't we all? All right. So do we want to do Blast from the Past?
Yes.
Are you guys prepared?
I am prepared. I don't know if we've done this gentleman yet.
Oh,
we might have.
Does he at least play for the Orioles, John? Or did he?
Potentially.
Oh, great.
There's a picture of him in an Orioles hat.
Nice. Oh, great.
So, Blast from the Past is a segment where we do a little bit of Orioles trivia, and we each pick a player who had at some point in their career played for the Orioles, and we try to name some random facts and guess the Oriole that is being described. So John's going to kick us off.
All right. So this gentleman is from Gary, Indiana, not Louisiana, Paris, France, or Rome, but Gary, Indiana. He made his major league debut April 29th, 1995 for the Twins. Last appeared October 3rd, 2015 for the Blue Jays. Played for the Twins, Cubs, Giants, Orioles, Rockies, Yankees, Astros, Brewers, Angels, Mets, Rockies, and Blue Jays. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 out of 32 teams. So he played for over 2/3 of the, or for over a third of the league. 75 and 94. He was a relief pitcher. 4.31 ERA with 983 strikeouts and 127 saves. He was primarily a setup reliever. He played for the Orioles in 2006.
Okay, left-handed or right-handed?
Right-handed. He was drafted out of high school by the Twins. He was on a full ride scholarship to Indiana State to play basketball. He played against Glenn Big Dog Robinson in high school. He was also a track and field star as well. He played for the Twins from 95 to 03, the Cubs 04 to 05, the Giants in 05, Orioles in 06, Rockies in 07, Yankees in 08, Astros 08-09, Brewers 10 and 11, Angels 12, Mets 13, Rockies again 14 and 15, and he ended with the Blue Jays.
You say right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed. He was
okay.
the average fastball of 88 miles an hour. He is married with 2 sons and a daughter.
Oh my God, John.
No, excuse me.
What's his zodiac sign, John? I don't know.
Can we stick to baseball?
Yeah.
Like, why would we remember this guy?
He's primary with the Twins. You would remember him with the Twins. Then he went to the Cubs. They tried him at closer, and he was not very good. So they.
What year was he with the Cubs?
04-05. He signed a 3-year, $11.2 million contract. He began the year as the setup man for Joe Borowski. Then he went to the closer. He had an immaculate inning on September the 11th, 2004. An immaculate inning is 9 pitches with 3 strikeouts.
He didn't wear glasses, did he?
No, he did not wear glasses. The first part, this should give it to you. The first part of his first name is a feminine Spanish for the. His last name is similar to that of a physicist who was in a wheelchair.
What is that shit?
Yeah, a world-renowned physicist has almost exactly the same last name. But he's well known for
LaTroy Hawkins.
Yes.
That was so stupid.
What?
No, that I had to figure it out that way.
What with the what the physicist?
Stephen Hawking.
Yes.
Oh my God, that was quite terrible. I am sorry.
No, that was terrible on your part that you didn't get this.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
I wasn't even thinking. I was just watching what you were saying.
Oh my gosh.
I forgot that he played for the I knew he played for the Orioles, but I remember him for the Twins. But he blew so many saves that he got booed out of Wrigley Field.
Goodness gracious. All right, Mike, do you want to go?
Sure.
I
guy.
stumped Schwab almost.
My guy was a pitcher also. He was drafted by the Mariners in the 23rd round of the 2000 amateur draft, coming from South Kitsap High School in Washington. How about that? He was also selected by the Tampa Bay Rays in the 19th round of the 01 draft and the Tampa Bay Devil Rays in the 10th round of the 2002 MLB draft. That's the one where he stayed in the MLB. He is played for Tampa, Colorado, Baltimore, Chicago, Oakland, Chicago, and the Royals, and both Chicago's were the Cubs. How we doing? You got it yet?
Not yet.
He pitched for Baltimore in the 2012 and the 2013 seasons.
He was a relief pitcher or starter?
No, he was mainly a starter for Baltimore. He started 20 games in 2012 and 23 games in 2013. In 2012, he pitched to a 3.66 ERA. He had a really good season. And in 2013, a 5.23.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
starts with an H, right?
One of parts of his name, yes, starts with an
Yeah.
H.
His last name starts with an H.
Yes.
Jason Hamill.
Yes.
Yeah,
Jason Hamill.
He was their ace.
There he is.
He was good.
I almost chose him.
Well,
He was
congrats,
on
John.
because Hawkins and Hamill are very close together in alphabetical order.
He is 42 years old, guys, just so you know. So he's one of us.
Oh, he's also primed to make the Orioles rotation at that age. That's great.
Yeah, I wonder if he's available.
Oh, man.
When was the last time he pitched in the big leagues?
2018 was the last time he pitched in the majors.
So 7 years ago. So his arm is fresh.
Oh, my God. You guys are
It's as
terrible.
fresh as mine.
Yeah, right. Except he probably throws 20 miles an hour harder than you.
Oh, easily.
Oh, man. All right. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Oh, no. Okay, I can't pick this guy. I got to go back to the other guy.
Oh my gosh, you haven't even picked your guy yet.
No, it's between two, and I'm like, this will be two. I mean, we've already run way over, and this is going to be really bad. All right.
We were
So-
run way over. We're only at an hour and 26 minutes.
All right. I was hoping for 50 tonight, but yeah, we went over. All right. So my guy played from 1982 to 1995. Okay. He started his career with the Milwaukee Brewers, also played for the Astros. He played for the San Francisco Giants, the New York Mets, the Houston Astros, and the Baltimore Orioles. And he was a one-time All-Star with the Houston Astros in 1986. And that season, he also finished 7th in the MVP voting as well. Let's see. Some
What
important-
position?
He is an outfielder, or was an outfielder. He had over 1,300 major league hits, 118 home runs, and a career batting average of 270. He was
And what year did he play for the Orioles?
Patience, Michael. He was a
I'm
switch
trying.
hitter. He was a switch hitter and mainly played right field, just to answer your question. And he played for the Orioles in 1995. I don't know how many kids he has, John. I don't know what beaches he likes to walk on. I don't know what he does in his spare time. I don't
Is he
know
real-
if he's from Gary, Indiana. I don't.
Not Louisiana or Paris, France.
He's from Redwood City, California.
And what position did he play mainly in Baltimore?
Right field.
Right field. It's not-
And he's now 65 years old, John.
Holy cow. I guess that's not that far away, boys.
Oh, stop it. What?
That's like 29 years for me, bro.
Oh, my God.
Give me the teams again, Jason.
The Milwaukee Brewers, Houston Astros, the San Francisco Giants, the New York Mets, the Astros again for 2 years, and then the Orioles in 1995.
And he retired in 1995.
That was his last full season.
Who
Played
played
for
right?
14 years.
Who played right field?
That's what I'm
for the
trying to think. Who
Orioles?
played
All right, so
95?
remember-
Tarasco,
team.
Tarasco played right field for the O's in 05 or in 95 and 96. because he had the
I
ball
mean,
taken out of
it's
his
not
glove.
Tony Tarasco.
No, I know. I'm
No.
going through the list of right fielders.
So he was on that that team. Like Bobby Bonilla came in that year on the trade deadline.
Right.
Brett Barbary was on that team.
Yeah.
The normal guys. Palmero, Ripken. I can give you another clue.
Alomar,
but it'll give it away.
Hoyles.
Zeal was at third base, right?
Not
No,
95.
no, 95. Who's at third base?
Leo Gomez.
Leo Gomez.
Brady Anderson was in center field. Who was in right field?
Devereaux was center. Was it Devereaux?
No, Brady Anderson
No.
was in center. Devereaux was in right. It was in left.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
right. But Devereaux was on the Orioles, I think, for 4 seasons. It wasn't Jeffrey Hammonds, because Jeffrey Hammonds was on the Orioles for a lot longer than that.
No.
I'll maybe want another clue, but that clue will give it away.
Yeah, give us another clue, Jason.
His name is the same name of a fish.
Kevin Bass.
Kevin Bass.
Jadavian
my
Clowney. No.
It rhymes with Schmevin Mass.
Kevin
Well done,
Bass.
boys. Way to
Well,
go.
Did we? Were
Two
we three,
rhyming words. No,
were we 3 for 3 tonight?
not
Yes,
really.
yeah.
We were
Two
1
of
for 3, really.
Two of them took
Yeah.
45 minutes, but that's fine.
Yeah, mine. I was surprised Jason got the last clue that I gave you to give it away.
Well, I knew Mike Trout never played for the Orioles, so I had narrowed that down. I think he would be a great addition.
It's not Ted Perch, so who could it be?
That's right.
And it's
Oh,
not.
man.
It's not Lance Bass from the NSYNC.
Right. Well done.
Only you would have thought of that, John.
Yes, clearly. All right. Well, that's all I got tonight, fellas. Mike, do you want to close up this?
Close up shop and send the people home.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Round
should do
third
that.
and head. The old left-hander rounding third and heading for home.
All right. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Dad Bods, Crab Cakes and Sports. Thanks for hanging out with us this evening. Don't forget to subscribe on Red Circle, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. While you're at it, please leave us a review. It helps us out. We're trying to spread the good word about Baltimore sports far and wide. Be sure to follow us on social media for more behind-the-scenes action, memes, bad sports takes, and bad dad jokes. You can find us at dadbods_crabcakes_sports on Instagram and at dadbods crab cakes and sports on our Facebook page. Have a question or topic you would like us to cover? Hit us up at dadbods crabcakesandsports@gmail.com. You never know, we might just shout you out on our next episode. So until next time, keep rocking those dad bods, eating those crab cakes, and never miss the game.
Sayonara.
Adios.